should remember this truck as in the last video. Here we are about a week later. It's the one we put the oil cooler in. If you haven't watched that video, go over and check it out. It's a bunch of time lapse. I mean, it's not great, but you know, what do you expect? So it's back, has a cylinder 3 misfire. Cylinder 3 is on the right bank, so this is the passenger side of the vehicle. It goes 1, 3, 5 is the cylinder layout. Which cylinder is misfiring? We'll click on that. And it's not going to show anything because we're just in the run position. So you see we got the zeros all crossed. Go ahead and start the vehicle. And you can feel it missing. Yeah, cylinder 3. Jumping around like crazy. Now remember, I did move spark plug to cylinder 1, ignition coil to cylinder 5. What I did yesterday, I pulled this in at the end of the day and I didn't film it, but I pulled the coil and plug out of cylinder 3 and I pulled the coil and plug out of cylinder 1, but I put cylinder 3 plug in cylinder 1 and with cylinder 1 plug in cylinder 3. And I put coil 1 back in, and I put coil 3 back on cylinder 5. So 3, 5, 1 is how the coils are. Then it goes 3, 1, 5 for plugs. Swap those around, and then I had the scan tool hooked up, had cylinder 3 misfire. It was throwing codes for that, and then we switched everything and misfire didn't move, so that tells me the coil and plug are good. And then I was thinking, oh, it could be the injector, because I did have all the injectors unplugged, so I made sure it was plugged in, and I got my stethoscope and I stuck down on there and I listened to the injector, and you can hear it clicking, you can hear it hitting good. So it tells me everything that's there is working like it should. Spark plugs are kind of getting wore out, but they'll be alright. So now we need to do a compression check. Alright, so before we do a compression, we're gonna do a I was reading on Identifix, and it says to do a check for vacuum leaks around the manifold near the leaking cylinder using a carburetor sprayer propane while monitoring the upstream O2 sensor signal. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the O2 streams up on the scan tool. I'm gonna get some carb cleaner, spray along the manifold, and see if the RPMs rise for one, and if the upstream O2 sensor spikes out, indicating that there's more fuel than what it wants. So this is basically what our patterns have been doing. This is our upstream, this is our downstream, 2 of 1, 1 of 1. Nothing really changed, just trying to pull. And we'll shut it off, we'll get those 3 pulled out, and then we will do a compression on each one of those and write them down. Now granted, yes, I know you're supposed to pull all plugs out to get a proper compression test, but I don't really think the customer wants to pay for pulling the intake back off. So we're gonna just do these three on the right bank. We'll pull the fuel pump relay out, and yeah, we'll pull those out, compression test it, this whole bank, write down the numbers, and then if they're comparable, we'll do a leak down test on that cylinder 3. These 3.6s are pretty known for having, well, it says right here. Alright, here you got Chrysler selling updated cylinder heads for problems with exhaust valves pitted. And then it gives you the part numbers. Here's the part number right here.
So they don't look terrible, but you can see the gap's pretty big there. So. Alright, so the fuel pump, or let's see, the fuel injectors, that's the one I was going to use, is going to be right, I gotta find it again, F64 fuel injectors PCM. So it's this one right here. So you come over here and find it, F64 right there. Yeah, let's see, F64 right there. So now you come down to your fuses, F64 25 amp right there. So we're just gonna go ahead and pull that out. Okay. Alright, got the compression tester in there. I've already run this one. It comes out to 75. You have to look up the number, but I'm gonna write this down. So 75 on cylinder 1. Now we'll move it over to cylinder 3 and then cylinder 5. So get that screwed in there. Clip our gauge to it. So that one was 75 as well, so good-ish so far. You have to do a leak down test, I can see. Let's check cylinder 5. Okay, cylinder 5's hooked up. Alright, so I took my 1/4 inch extensions, that's my longest one, and then I just added this one on top just in case. And then I got my big ratchet here with a 27 millimeter. But drop that down in the hole. Use the ratchet to turn the crank over on the nut or the bolt right there. Crank it over till this socket. This one, when it's all the way at the bottom, it'll go all the way, it'll sit flush with this spark plug hole right here. But crank it around until it comes up to the top. That way it's up, the valves are closed, the piston's up, the valves are closed. And then we'll go ahead and put our this piece back in, and we'll hook the shop air up to our tester, set it to where this gauge is at 0, and then we'll plug this on. And as long as all the valves are closed like they're supposed to, and there's no wear or anything going on with them, you shouldn't hear any air coming out of this intake piece or any out the exhaust. Okay, we're past 0, so we'll go ahead and back this off a little bit. All right, there's 0, a little bit under. I'll hook this on here. We are leaking out of this spark plug hole, so I gotta see what's going on there, because that's affecting our reading. So that's not good. I'm gonna find another one of these adapters to see if Boss Man's got one. I'll seal up on that a little better. But it's supposed to be 10% or less on the leak down test, is what it says on the test procedure. So find another one of these and throw it in. Okay, so this is the one I was using. It's got this adapter on it. It was leaking. This is the one I found. A lot better. So we're gonna go ahead and spin that down in there. And get that pointed in the right direction. Okay, that's it. Good. Okay, let's pull this out, stick the camera down there, see what we get. So it doesn't look terrible. There is a lot of carbon in there. So this should be the bottom of the ignition stroke. So that, yeah, this is the bottom of the exhaust stroke, is what I should say. I mean, as far as the top of the piston looks, it looks fine. We have to go grab the other camera. Alright, so I got this other camera. This one is the Snap-on BK6500. So there's the cross hatching. You're not gonna be able to see that very good, but cross hatching looks alright. There's a ridge right at the top. Exhaust valves should be open. So I'm assuming that's an exhaust valve because it's got some carbon built up on it. Top. You can barely see it right there. So I looked up the compression and it's supposed to be 100 psi, no less than 100, and they were at 75, so I'm thinking that could be our problem. Alright, so we got this little, this is an old Loctite bottle, but I got full of oil. I'm just gonna go ahead and squirt that down in the cylinder. this is going to tell us if it's the rings that are gone to shit or what. But it's not gonna focus, but that says 150. So let's try it. Yep. Back to 150 again. Well, 145. So check cylinder 1 again. Still good. So we'll pull this out. Okay, so this is the compression tester piece that I was using the first time. Has this adapter on it, and that's the one I got the reading of 75 to 80 on all three. Then I switched to this one for the leak down, because when I did the leak down I could hear it leaking past here. So I did the leak down with this one, and it leaked down okay. There was no problems, it was within spec. So then this is one I just did the compression test with again, and they're all like 145. So now I'm back to. Okay.
I was just looking on there was one
You didn't know me
not
yet.
quite as loud when they owned it. According to that, it should be like 11.
Okay. So
Yeah, I'd pull like all three of those, or at least two of them off and own all of them and see
you can compare them across.
close to each other.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna home test the injectors now, because everything is testing okay. The only thing I don't like is these spark plugs. They're champions and they are no bueno. So if everything else is okay, then we'll maybe probably throw a set of plugs in it and maybe a new coil. So let's do some test some injectors. And my light's dying, so that's cool. Alright, so I got this little kit that's got these in it. They go on the terminals on the injector. I could go in the harness if it needs to. harness side, injector side. That just goes on there, easier to test. So take your test leads. Slide that in there. That in there. Now that one ohms at 13.1. Now let's move our leads. Okay. Cylinder 3 is 13.2. Okay. About 13 on all 3 injectors on this side. So let's go look up what the injectors are supposed to be. Okay, so looked up the resistance here. Resistance test, key up, disconnect injector, connect test leads, red and blue, cross injector terminals. Resistance should be about 12 ohms at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So injectors ohmed at 13 ohms, which it doesn't indicate that it's bad. It's normally closed. It's supposed to be 12 ohms at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. In the shop here, it's about 70. Plus I've been running the motor this morning, so it's a little bit warm anyway. So I'm gonna say they're ohming fine. There's not the problem there. So another test procedure I wanted done was to test the spark at the end of the coil boot. So I got the spark tester hooked up here. I'll get you turned around and we'll show you that. All right, we got the spark tester hooked up on the coil. It used to be coil 3, but it's on 5 now, but we're gonna test it. We got the gap set to what the test procedure says, which is 25. So let's check it. And as you can see, everything sparks fine. So I've checked all 3 coils on this side, and they're all fine. So all right, so we got all the old ones pulled out. Well, they were out anyway, but you can see that gap there, pretty good compared to the new ones. I mean, side by side, you can see it's a little bit bigger of a gap. But I mean, as far as the length of electrode, you can really see that electrode right there shoot off pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get these new ones thrown in, and all right, so we got all the new spark plugs in. Coils are just set back on there. It's collecting. And we're still missing. Alright, so quick update. Done a running compression test, and that's where you put the compression tester in the hole, start it, and watch where the pressure's at. Pressure was at like 50 to 60 on both 1 and 3. Cylinder 3 definitely still has a misfire. Coils are still working, but we were reading some of these bulletins. So it's on Identifix, rocker arm replacement. So if you read this, it says vehicle had a miss at idle, counting small number tests led to base engine. Rough idle smooths out it on acceleration, which this one does, it smooths out. So, and everything else has been fine, so we're to pulling that valve cover off and checking rockers. So we'll probably get that done, and I'll bring you back for once that's off. All right, so I've gone ahead, got valve cover off. You got to pull your VVT solenoids and your positive crankcase pressure solenoid, or yeah, I guess it's a solenoid. I don't know, it's a check valve. But that one goes in the back of the head and indexes into that cam. So you can't get the valve cover off without taking it off, and it's kind of a bugger, but not too bad. But this is cylinder 3. This cam lobe right here, you can see that scuffing on it. That one was the one throwing our misfire code. This follower right here that goes on this lash adjuster is the one that has a little bit of play on it, starting to eat this cam. But we did notice back here, this cam lobe is toast, so that one's got to get replaced. So we were hoping to only have to do lash adjusters and the followers, but we're gonna end up have to do that cam, and probably, since we're in here doing it, we'll probably do this cam to where that hard facing's gone off of there. So we'll get a price made up, contact the customer, and see that they want to do it for sure. So here's to the next video. If you find anything in this video helpful or entertaining, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't. But we'll keep going on this 3.6.